Yo, what is up YouTube? How you doing? It's your boy Zenith, and today I've got the Fantasy Premier League Game Week 5 preview for you. We're going to talk about players you want to keep an eye on this week, and we're going to have a look at my team and my selection and why I've picked who I've picked. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So we're going to get through this section a lot quicker based on feedback from you guys, and that is the fixtures. So let's have a look at the games. We've got the Friday kickoff, which is Newcastle versus Leeds. Then Saturday early kickoff, Wolves versus Brentford. This is a game that I'm going to have my eye on for Wolves assets. We've got Burnley versus Arsenal after that. Arsenal have a decent run of fixtures, so this is another fixture that I'm going to be keeping my eye on, seeing what players perform. Next up, we've got Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. Really important for me as I have Liverpool assets. City versus Southampton. Now, I'm actually going without any Man City assets again this week, so I will be watching this and monitoring their situation closely. And then we've got bottom of the table, Norwich facing Watford. I don't have either of these. Actually, I've got Brandon Williams and I have Billy Gilmore, but neither of them tend to regularly feature for me as they are kind of my bench fodder. Finally, we have Aston Villa facing Everton, and I want to see what happens with Everton without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so I'll be watching this, and I've got your man Damari Gray in there too. Moving on to Sunday, the early kickoffs are Brighton versus Leicester. Neither of these fixtures bother me too much, providing Brighton can stay solid and resolute at the back and keep a clean sheet. And then West Ham versus Manchester United. This is going to be a big game as Manchester United look to stay at the top of the table. West Ham aren't going to want to fall off. We are without Antonio, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this fixture. And then finally, we have Spurs versus Chelsea. Spurs are going to want to bounce back from their absolute battering at Crystal Palace, whereas Chelsea, well, they've just won in the Champions League in the middle of the week, and they seem to be on fine form, so what's going to happen in this game, who knows? Definitely one to keep an eye on. Anyways, let's flip the page and let's jump straight into my team for this week. So as mentioned, I have Sanchez in goal facing Leicester. I'm hoping that he can keep Jamie Vardy and co quiet and keep a shutout with potentially maybe a couple of saves. I'm hoping for about 6 or 7 points from this man. Next up is another fixture I said I'd be keeping my eyes on, and that is the Wolves versus Brentford game. I've got Marcel at the back, and after I tipped him last week, if you didn't see that video, you would have seen I tipped him to do well, and he returned 13 points. I'm hoping for at least a clean sheet in this fixture, so a minimum of 6 points from him, maybe an assist if we're lucky, which might then lead to some bonus points, but at least 6 points from this man is what I'm hoping for. Next up is Brandon Williams, and I am starting him this week due to the suspension of Mikel Antonio. Williams, I'm hoping, can keep Watford out, especially as Watford haven't scored since the opening fixture of this season. Next up is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and nobody has created more chances in the Premier League so far this season than this man. I'm also hoping for a clean sheet, so I'm looking for around 10 to 12 points from him again this week. That would be a lovely return on this asset. Next up is Duffy, and the same applies to him as what applies to Sanchez, but I'm thinking 6 points here, maybe 5 if he gets booked, bringing Jamie Vardy down on a counter-attack or something like that. 5 points I'll take from him. My captain for this week is Mohamed Salah. His statistics against Palace are insane, as he's returned in each of his last 6 games against the Eagles. He scored 6 goals, supplied 5, and he's picked up around 5 bonus points from these fixtures, which is insane. If he can keep up this form, I'm expecting a big haul from him. I'm going to say 10 points, double to 20 is what I'm looking for here. No, more than that probably. 13 double to 26 is what I'm banking on from this man this weekend. Next up, I've got Damari Gray. Now, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin not leading the line, it's going to be Richarlison. So they're going to be relying on this man to potentially chip in with some more goals to add on to what he's already got this season, having scored in 3 of his last 3. Staying in my team this week is Said Benrahma. A lot of people are debating taking him out, especially as they face Manchester United, but it's worth noting that Manchester United have only kept 1 clean sheet so far in the Premier League this season, and obviously they did just concede twice, albeit with 10 men to Young Boys in the Champions League this week. Is it worth noting though that they probably should have conceded to Wolves, so they were lucky to have that clean sheet, and with Mikel Antonio suspended, Said Benrahma could find himself playing even further up the pitch and could be the main focal point of attack. Who knows? Adama Traore's chances have kind of dried up in the last 2 game weeks, but I still think he has that attacking threat. Raul Jimenez dropping deep is allowing Traore to get forward, as well as Trincao, and I think it is only a matter of time before he returns. Given that they do play Brentford this week, I definitely think he has to start for me, and he's probably one you should keep an eye out for. Moving on to the strikers positions, in case you haven't guessed, I'm playing a 4-4-2. You know Mikel Antonio suspended, so you know who the boys up top are. The first one is going to be Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, he's playing my side, which is why I haven't handed in the captain's armband, because obviously I want West Ham to do well. But the realist in me says that Ronaldo's probably going to return against our leaky defence. We did manage to keep a clean sheet against Southampton, but it wasn't the most riveting of games. Cristiano scored 2 in his opening game for United against Newcastle, and he did also pick one up midweek against Young Boys. I think this goal machine is only going to keep scoring. And next up is Romelu Lukaku. The man is also on fire and in fine form, having scored midweek in the Champions League and picking up 2 in the 3-0 thrashing of Aston Villa last weekend. The only reason he doesn't have the captain's armband is he is playing Tottenham away, and we all know how those derby games go. Anything can happen, and I'm not willing to risk the captaincy on him. I haven't made any changes this week, so my bench stays the same. From left to right, we've got Still. First sub is Reguilon. Then we've got Billy Gilmore, as he didn't start last week, so I'm worried about his minutes now. And then obviously third on my subs bench is the suspended Mikel Antonio. What's going to happen now is on the screen, there's going to be a few players that are going to have a gold edge around them. And if you don't have these players in your team, these are players that I would recommend for this week, but aren't going to be included in the spotlight. And as you can see, I've highlighted players like Marcel, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mohamed Salah, Ronaldo and Lukaku will be highlighted every week, and even Damari Gray as well. But enough of my team, let's see who you should keep an eye out for this week. So in goal, it's the same goalkeeper as last week, someone I think you should keep an eye out for, and that is Sarr of Wolves. They're playing Brentford, and then even after Brentford, their fixtures stay nice as they face Southampton and Newcastle, who haven't been the most potent teams going forward. So he's going to stay as my guy to keep an eye out for, and probably someone you want in your team just for this week. But I know not many of you make your transfers on your goalkeepers unless you're hitting a wild card. So let's just keep it there. Let's move on. The first recommendation is going to be another Wolves defender, and that is going to be Nelson Semedo. Wolves have a fantastic run of games coming up, as I keep mentioning, and Semedo should have buried 2 opportunities last weekend, which he just threw away. Honestly scuffed them. So this man, whilst Marcel's getting the assist, has the potential to get that goal return as well as the clean sheets. Definitely one to keep an eye out for. I can't believe I'm going to recommend the next gentleman, especially given how they've started the season. But next up would be Ben White. At 4.4 million, he's an enabler, someone you can leave on the bench if you want to and not worry about a lot of cash sitting there. However, Arsenal's run of fixtures, now that they've faced Norwich, do take a nice turn, with the exception of Spurs in game week 6. They've got Burnley away next, then Tottenham, then they've got Brighton, and then going even deeper than that, they've got Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Leicester. So all potential for clean sheets, and there's someone you should potentially monitor, but for a 1 week punt, I don't think Ben White is a bad shout, and you do have those follow-up game weeks where you wouldn't have to necessarily transfer him back out again. The final defender that I'm going to look at this week is Luke Ayling. He's rated 4.5 million. He should have scored last weekend, and Leeds fixtures are amazing coming up. They got Newcastle next, then they face West Ham, Watford, Southampton, Wolves and Norwich before they face Leicester and Tottenham. So you're going to get 6 game weeks of 2 to 3 rated fixture difficulty games before they even face a tricky opponent. They could potentially concede to West Ham, but it is also worth noting that they haven't managed to keep a clean sheet yet this season. Proceed with caution, but at 4.5 million, he's worth a punt, right? Every week I make one premium recommendation per position, and this week it's going to be João Cancelo of Manchester City. He's managed to start every single game and play every single minute under Pep Guardiola so far, and that's a fantastic feat in its own right, because Pep is known for changing his teams, and this season is one of the first times he hasn't changed his team for a numerous amount of games in the 5 years that he's been there. They've got Southampton next, so that gives potential attacking returns for Cancelo, whether it's goals himself or assists, as he finds himself the 8th most creative defender in the Fantasy Premier League and the 12th most threatening defender in the Premier League at the moment. After Southampton, his fixtures do get a bit trickier as he faces Chelsea and Liverpool, but that only means there's potential for attacking returns on the counter-attack. And then after that, he does face Burnley, Brighton and Crystal Palace. But if you're looking for that 1 week punt because you've got plans to wildcard, why not this man? Moving into midfield is someone that I regularly have recommended, and he has not been letting me down. Mason Greenwood has provided an attacking return in every single fixture that Manchester United have played in the Premier League so far this season, scoring in his opening 3, and then his saved shot was poked in by Cristiano Ronaldo in game week 4, which gave him an assist. Now, he didn't feature in the midweek Champions League fixture. This means he's going to have fresh legs to go against the West Ham side that do look a bit shaky at the back, that don't have their main man up top in Mikel Antonio. So who's going to hold the ball up? How are they going to get the ball out of play? And if West Ham do break at any point, Greenwood will be there for the counter-attack potential. Definitely a guy to keep an eye out for. Still 7.7 million. He's the second joint highest midfielder in the Fantasy Premier League so far. Keep an eye on this man. This recommendation is going to be a bit different. His price has dropped. He hasn't been performing as well. And the reason that I'm recommending him is because of how he played last weekend. He should have probably had at least a couple of goals. And that is going to be Sadio Mane. He's dropped to 11.9 million. And the only person that I'm recommending Sadio Mane for are you guys that are chasing the points. So if you guys need to play catch up, if you're behind in your mini leagues already and you need a differential that's going to stand out, and you're willing to take a punt, Sadio Mane is only in 2.7% of all teams. However, would you believe me if I told you that he is the most threatening midfield asset in the Fantasy Premier League? Because he is. So keep an eye on this man. He's already scored 2. He's got Crystal Palace and Brentford in his next 2. Then does play City, counter-attacking options, you know, getting at that back line. There's potential there for goals. The next midfielder that I'm going to recommend is going to be Rafinha. Now, everyone is raving about this man. He's the 16th most creative midfielder. And let's be honest, right? Leeds haven't had the easiest of fixtures. They've played Man U. They've played at inform Everton. Burnley side that are known for being quite defensively sound. And obviously Liverpool. So this is where we see the fixtures change now. And people like Rafinha come out of their shell and potentially get goals. Someone else who falls into that Sadio Mane bracket for the people who are trying to play catch up is going to be Nicolas Pepe. Now, he did pick up an assist and clean sheet against Norwich, as you would hope. It's Norwich at the end of the day. They are bottom of the table for a reason. But Nicolas Pepe is only valued at 7.2 million. So he doesn't break the bank. His value has dropped since the start of the season. And look at his fixtures, a bit like Ben White. Burnley, Tottenham, Brighton, Palace, Aston Villa and Leicester. What more could you potentially want? The last 2 recommendations in the spotlight this week are going to be in the striker position, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin registered out for at least 3 to 4 weeks, which takes us up to the international break. It's likely that we're not going to see him until game week 8 at the earliest. We've also got Mikel Antonio, who has got the red card, so he's suspended for a fixture. And he's actually already been taken out by over 1 million managers. Now, that's a bit rash and a bit rushed, if you ask me, as after the Manchester United fixture, they do have some easier fixtures, as they've got Leeds away, who have conceded 11 this season already, followed by Brentford and Everton, who also have been leaking goals. Anyways, spotlight players. The first one, I mean, I've been talking about these 2 teams for the entirety of the spotlight. They've got great fixtures coming up. So the first one is going to be Bamford. Patrick Bamford has got fantastic fixtures coming up. Leeds like to play that attacking football. They like to get forward. So he's my recommendation if you're looking to replace Antonio or Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Not only is he going to be a good punt for game week 5, you are going to get those follow-up fixtures that I've mentioned previously. He's also done well this season already, having picked up a goal and an assist, considering they haven't had the easiest fixtures going. He is the second highest threatening forward in the Premier League so far this season statistically, and that is why he should be on your radar too. Speaking of threat, the next person in the spotlight is the 5th highest threat player when it comes to strikers in the Fantasy Premier League, and that is Raul Jimenez. He is actually ranked 1st for creativity as well, so it's only a matter of time before he actually starts returning some attacking hauls. And as mentioned, look at his fixtures, they're fantastic. Both of these players are rated under 8 million, with Jimenez coming in at 7.4 and Bamford coming in at 7.9 at the time of filming this. These guys could be bandwagons that you want to get on earlier rather than later, because you wouldn't want to miss out on potential hauls from them. So YouTube, that is your Game Week 5 roundup. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't as well, so you don't miss future episodes. And let me know in the comments below who you're keeping an eye on this week. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.